Good evening. Happy Tuesday to everybody out there. It's the SamAnt, CEO of Viral Hip Hop News. You're in the building for another artist spotlight here on the broadcast, on the platform. I definitely appreciate each and every one of y'all who will be stopping by and interacting with our guest in the building. We have an exceptional guest on the show this evening. And this is what I love about the artist spotlight. This is the whole idea that I had when I started artist spotlight, when I began promoting my artist spotlight, is to kind of get away from what you typically hear on the platform, which is current events news. We get to interview different celebrities or experts in their various fields. When it comes to media, when it comes to visually who we see on a daily basis. But what I do with the artist spotlight is I allow independent entrepreneurs, musicians, people who are professionals in their respective field to come on here and advertise or give a little more perspective on what they do. And it gives the platform so much variety. It gives the platform so many different types of people and walks of life. I've interviewed a brother who created comic books. We just interviewed a brother that did a book bag campaign and started a bag campaign, which is an exceptional. And today we have a doctor who is going to give us game on glaucoma. Now, I remember when I first heard about glaucoma, it was from the OGs that were trying to get medical cards back in California. They would say my glaucoma's acting up and they would go grab some weed. This is what I knew about glaucoma, but we're about to get on another level and very, very excited. So y'all know what to do. As we're in the building, drop your area codes. Let me know where you're listening. Let me know where you're watching. Let's engage in the conversation. Let's support who we have on this afternoon, this evening, wherever you happen to be watching or listening. And we're going to have a good time this evening. So without further ado, before we get to our guest, I'm going to play a video. This was done by my guest this evening, Mr. Daniel Laroche, MD, or should I say Dr. Daniel Laroche, MD. And we're going to get it rocking right now. Let's go.
Glaucoma is a leading cause of blindness, globally affecting nearly 80 million people by 2020. This silent thief of sight involves optic nerve damage and visual field loss secondary to retinal ganglion cell damage or cell death. The eye produces fluid from the ciliary processes to bathe the eye. The fluid drains via the trabecular meshwork, aqueous veins, uveoscleral pathway, and suprachoroidal space. With time, the trabecular meshwork ages and the lens of the eye becomes larger, developing a cataract. This narrows the drainage angle, reducing the ability of aqueous to drain from the eye. Additionally, in some patients, the zonules that attach the lens to the iris rub against the posterior iris, releasing pigment that further blocks the alpha pathway. This, in addition to genetic predisposition in some patients to elevated intraocular pressure. This increased pressure goes on to damage the optic nerve, described as cupping. When this occurs, medical therapy should be initiated. Since as many as 50% of patients fail medical eye drop therapy, early cataract extraction can be performed to open the angle, and goniotomy should be performed to remove the damaged trabecular meshwork to help improve aqueous flow. Patients with advanced glaucoma due to worsening outflow will need an additional intervention. Dr. Daniel Laroche is a board-certified ophthalmologist and glaucoma specialist and president of Advanced Eye Care of New York. He is a graduate of New York University and Cornell University Medical College and inventor of the intrascleral ciliary sulcus suprachoroidal microtube technique, a surgical treatment for glaucoma. This microtube shunt procedure should only be used in patients with glaucoma whom have had their cataracts removed. This procedure allows aqueous fluid to safely drain to the suprachoroidal space without the risk of corneal edema, which can occur when a tube is placed in the anterior chamber. Under local anesthesia, an inferotemporal conjunctival opening is made to place the microtube in this quadrant. A small partial thickness scleral flap is made to place the tube. A micro-opening is made superiorly to place a viscoelastic gel into the eye to expand the space between the posterior iris and the intraocular lens. This is where the silicone microtube will be positioned. A small 23-gauge needle is used to make an incision into the ciliary sulcus. Then the silicone microtube is placed. The position is confirmed with a second instrument. The microtube is then tied to the eye. Then another micro-opening is made to access the suprachoroidal space. The posterior end of the tube is inserted into the suprachoroidal space. This connection allows the aqueous to drain to the suprachoroidal space. This bypasses the damaged trabecular meshwork to successfully lower intraocular pressure. The scleral flap is then sutured closed. The viscoelastic gel is left in the anterior chamber. Post-operative steroids and antibiotics should be given. Dr. Laroche has had excellent results lowering the intraocular pressure. Since glaucoma is a lifelong disease that can worsen with age, a patient's intraocular pressure should still be checked periodically. Additional medical therapy or repeat surgery may be needed. Diet, exercise, and mindfulness are important aspects for glaucoma care as well. For additional surgical training for physicians and consultations for patients, Dr. Laroche can be reached at 718-217-0424 or 212-663-0473 and by email at info@advancedeyecare.ny.com. Thank you for watching.
All right. Brilliant stuff we have there. Make sure you guys, everybody can hear me okay. Throw me a thumbs up if you can hear me okay, because we're about to bring our guest in the building, Dr. Laroche, Daniel Laroche, MD. How are you this evening, sir?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me. Doing very well. Thank you.
No problem. And I appreciate you.
Good morning, good afternoon.
Uh-oh, hold on. Let me shut that down. There we go. Okay. Very, very thankful to have you on this evening. Like I said earlier on the show, I have a variety of different guests that come on here, and you are definitely one of those people. A glaucoma. Let me first off pardon my ignorance. Can you properly identify your specialty and what you do in the medical field?
Yes. I'm a MD, medical physician, board certified ophthalmologist. That's an eye surgeon, eye physician and surgeon. That involves going to college for 4 years, medical school for 4 years, 1 year internship, 3 years ophthalmology residency, and another year of specialty training, fellowship training in glaucoma.
What motivated you to get into the medical field? Like, how did you grow up? Did you grow up around people in your family that were doctors? Is the medical field something that always interested you? How did you get into it?
Yeah, it's a good question. My dad was from Haiti, and he went to Canada. He was a physician. He went to Canada. He met my mom, who was a nurse, and then they came to the United States, and I was born here. So I had always been exposed to my dad, who was a physician, anesthesiologist. My mom was a nurse. So I always had a little bit of medical exposure. And I did well in the sciences in school. So doing well in the sciences, enjoying math, I decided to go pre-med in college and, consider medicine. I also liked hip hop, actually. I was part of growing up in the hip hop generation, Run DMC, Public Enemy. But my dad, in the Haitian community, they try to push you towards the medical field, engineering field, studious academically. And so, and I wasn't good at rhyming. I wasn't as good. I said, okay, I'm not going to be a good rapper. So let me go into medicine, because I really enjoyed that. And so that's how I found my path into medicine.
That's interesting. You said your father was from Haiti, and we see a lot of, like, I have interactions with a lot of our Caribbean brothers and sisters that come from their various countries and come here. And what I notice is when they get here, their work ethic is on another level. They'll come here and they'll establish businesses. They'll all come and they'll move in together as a family. They'll nest egg. And then eventually in 4 to 5 years, they have multiple businesses, multiple homes, multiple land. The blueprint is insane. And a lot of the time, they look at us American brothers and sisters as Black people and see us as lazy and see us as we don't want to put in the work. All we want to do is dribble a basketball, get behind a microphone, and rhyme. And that your father pushed you, but not pushed, but motivated you to get into the medical field. Talk about the dynamic between our Caribbean brothers and sisters and how they kind of approach life as it is to being Black and how we do in America.
That's a great point. In the Caribbean, when you go to Haiti, when you're in Jamaica, when you're in Nigeria, when you're in the African diaspora, and you're growing up there in a Black country where you see Black presidents, Black doctors, Black lawyers, Black business people. So you see all the options are available for you in terms of what you want to pursue. And then if on top of that, you've decided to leave your country and come to America and, try to pursue a newer path, that takes you another level of energy to do that. And so by the time you get here, not only do you have that foundation and that background, but you have that additional energy to take it to the next level, which is what my dad did. And I look up to him for the sacrifices he made to try to give myself and my sisters a better opportunity. Now, when you grow up here, I grew up here because I did go to school here and I grew up here.
Right.
You don't see that, they see every time on TV. First of all, when you look at the media is about 90% white. Everything you see on the media is white for the most part. You would think that the world is 90% white when whites only make up about 15% of the global population. That's one. Two, when they show Blacks, if you watch the news, every time they open up the news, they show, a Black man committed a crime or a Black man got locked up or some negativity in that respect. And that's, I think, in part intentional because they don't really show the good things that people are doing in the community in that respect. And so we're still suffering from some of the vestiges of not so much slavery, not so much segregation, but ongoing discrimination in the media and the images and the things that we see. So when you're growing up and you're a young Black kid, and unless you have a strong family unit at home that's guiding you, and if you're counting on the media or social media, you could easily go down the wrong path and just feel like, okay, the only things that are open to me are sports, entertainment, and acting a fool, or some of these social media reality shows type of thing. And so you can get caught up into that. And so it takes a certain level of consciousness that has to come from the home, from the parents, from the family, from the things that you are exposed to really be able to take advantage of what's around you and make your way through that.
How did your foundation and your upbringing help you through all of the schooling that you had to endure to get to where you're at right now? And as a Black man going through all of that school in America, how were you taken? Was there any type of discrimination that you had to deal with throughout your schooling? Was it a little bit more of an even playing field because you just are professionals? How did that experience go for you?
Well, I was very fortunate. Once again, I had a strong father influence in my life who was successful, who really imparted upon me the importance of education and knowledge and trying to be the best you can be. So that was one thing right there. Two, at the time, I grew up with a good spiritual foundation in the Catholic Church. My mom, she was very spiritual and would have me go into the church, and I learned about the 10 Commandments, and these were good lessons to learn. I became a little disillusioned, though, with the church because, I would see these white pictures of God, white pictures of angels, and I'm like, well, what happened to the Black people? And as Muhammad Ali said, the Black people in the kitchen cooking. And so that took me away because there were some things in the Bible, for example, it says slaves obey your master. And that was used in Haiti to help keep the slaves enslaved. And I didn't like that. So I sort of moved away from that spirituality. And I studied a little bit of Islam. At that time when I was in college, Louis Farrakhan gave his speech at Madison Square Garden, and he was like a topic of discussion. But then I learned in Islam that the Arabs introduced the slave trade to the Europeans. And so that history was very tainted as far as Black history and African history, and that wasn't really our true legacy. And so then, more recently, I came into the Kemetic culture with the Ankh, okay? And this was our original cross from thousands of years ago. And just like you hear about the 10 Commandments, we had 42 commandments. Kanye West said he was jealous of the Jews, but the Jews and the Hebrews, they have 10 commandments, but we actually had 42 thousands of years before they did, represented by this cross. If you ever get a chance to go to the Nile Valley in Egypt, you'll see this cross on the temple walls at all the major temples over there. This represents the womb of the woman, the man, and the children. Life, family, harmony, balance, truth, justice. So I've embraced these 42 laws of Ma'at, which is a greater extension of the 10 commandments that gives you a good, important spiritual, moral code of conduct in terms of your foundation, in terms of your word, and how you deal with the community, how you deal with people in business, so that you can have peace of mind and be successful. Under this great Kemetic civilization, Africans built the pyramids, they invented language with the glyphs, the Medu Neter, science, technology, astronomy. All of that is an African legacy that's not taught to us, that's not been taught to us. And so it's important that we learn these things. We had to get out of slavery, we had to get out of segregation, and now the next step is getting back our culture. And so as we get back our culture, that's going to empower you to be able to do anything that you want to do. Anything that you want to do, you can empower yourself to do that once you have that knowledge.
Powerful. I want to go down that rabbit hole. It's so crazy, but we're sitting here. I want to talk about glaucoma as well. But I could tell this is going to be a great interview. So can you tell the people, because I see a lot of people in the comment section who have actually dealt with glaucoma. I'm seeing a lot of people in here expressing that they've dealt with glaucoma for a long time, which is actually surprising to me. But can you help enlighten me and the guest out here on how glaucoma affects the Black community, and was that a motivating factor in why you chose that specialty over maybe something else that you may have been interested in the medical field?
Yeah, good question. When I was in medical school, as a medical student, you rotate through different specialties. You do like internal medicine, surgery, different specialties. And a lot of specialties were interested, but nothing really, really grabbed me until I did ophthalmology. When I did ophthalmology, you could look inside someone's eye and see the disease process, whether it's diabetic retinopathy, glaucoma, cataracts, and you could intervene surgically to restore vision or improve vision. I found that fascinating and very attractive, and so I gravitated to that specialty. I did my residency at Howard University in Washington, D.C. And Washington, D.C. is a city that's, 80, 90% Black. And at Howard,
Yes, sir.
we had a large Black population where a lot of people are having glaucoma and going blind from glaucoma. And I knew, I was planning to come back to New York and I was going to be involved in the community. So I knew I was going to see a lot of this. I was like, well, why is this happening? Why is it affecting our community so much? The prevalence is 4 to 8 times higher in the Black community. The rates of blindness are about 10 to 15 times higher in the Black community compared to the white community. So I was like, I want to devote myself to do some extra training in this, one, so I could be good at detecting it, treating it, and then trying to figure out what's causing this. Why is there such a disparity? So lo and behold, I opened up my practice in New York City and Queens and Harlem, and I've been doing this for about 25 years now. And what I noticed, so my research is about, well, what's the main cause of glaucoma? I'll ask some of my colleagues this, and they won't be able to answer it. And I figured out the answer in the majority of cases. The main, most identifiable cause of glaucoma is the enlarging lens inside the eye. Inside the eye, we have a lens, that allows you to see. As you get older, that lens grows by about 20 to 30%. When that happens, it rubs up against the iris, which is the brown part of the eye, that releases pigment that can block the drain, and you can get open-angle glaucoma, or if the lens gets real big, it closes off the drain, you get angle closure glaucoma. Now, when you take this lens out surgically, you can lower the pressure dramatically. In open-angle glaucoma by 5 points, and angle closure glaucoma even more alone. And then if you add micro-invasive glaucoma surgery, you can lower it even more. Now, the thing that's nice about this is that 25 years later, we've developed new techniques to do cataract surgery very safely. 25 years ago, when I was training, we had to literally open up the eye halfway to get the cataract out. And there was a lot of risk, a lot of complications. We would try to delay cataract surgery to as late as possible to when you absolutely need it. Now we can intervene much earlier because cataract surgery with the new technology that we have can be done in about 10 minutes as an outpatient procedure. You come in the morning, you have the procedure done 10 minutes. By the afternoon, you have vision. You take the eye drops. Within a few days, you're healed, and you can move on to back to business, back to work. So the fact that cataract surgery has become so much safer, we can do it much earlier. And now we also have new techniques to put stents and drains in the canal. Just like you have stents in your heart that we hear about, heart stents. Well, now we can put new stents in the drain in the eye and open up the drain like I showed you in the video.
Right.
So the key thing is this knowledge is new, and we got to educate the community that this technology exists, and this being done earlier can help prevent blindness from glaucoma. The American Academy of Ophthalmology, the way, if you look at them, how do you treat glaucoma, they recommend using eye drops first. The problem with eye drops is that people forget to put it in their eye, okay? Sometimes you need 2 or 3 eye drops. They forget to put it in, or they may not be able to afford the eye drops. Some of the eye drops are very expensive. Like a little bottle of eye drops can be, $30, $40, $50. We're in an inflation right now. We're in a borderline recession right now. So
Right.
people can't get access to that. So if we can offer them earlier surgery so you don't need drops with this technique, 80% of people don't need eye drops. We've published that paper. Okay, we published that. So that's why I want to get that information out. And then laser is a temporizing procedure that just lasts for a short period of time. So it's just like a short period of time to lower the pressure, usually wears off. People have to repeat it. So these techniques with early cataract surgery and microinvasive glaucoma surgery are very important and very good. Now, the thing is, there are 18,000 ophthalmologists in the United States, but only 9,000 actually operate. And those that operate really good are even a little bit less than that. So it's important that to get this treatment, you want to find a good surgeon locally in your area that can do this for you. And so you want to make sure that they're comfortable doing this for you so you can get a good outcome.
Wow. That was very, very informative. Now, I want to ask you, because as we were watching the video, and I've seen it numerous times now, you came up with a procedure. That was the one you were just alluding to, correct?
Yes.
Now, when you came up with this procedure, is there like a patent or something that has to come along with that? Like how does one come up with a procedure in a medical field and it be known as their procedure?
Yeah. Okay. There was a device called a SiPass device, okay, that was placed into the suprachoroidal space. And initially we had some good success with this. And I thought, well, this device costs about $2,000. So most people around the world are not going to be able to afford this. So how can I come up with a technique that, is easier to do, is more affordable technique to do this? And so using FDA-approved silicone tubing from different devices, I developed this technique to be able to do this. It's not a patentable technique because what's patentable, usually you have to have a specific device that's specially made and usually requires millions of dollars of investment for research and development and this and that. And so the path of the fluid and bypass is exactly the same to the same location, but just using more affordable tubing and a technique that avoids some of the complications that would occur with the SiPass. It was ironic because the SiPass was actually taken off the market because it was causing corneal swelling and causing corneal edema. And in my technique, I showed you how the tube is far away from the cornea so you don't get that complication at all. And so it's a nice technique that we can use in my armamentarium for surgery for certain cases. But the main thing is the early cataract surgery and microinvasive glaucoma surgery. That works the best that I like to do. And people with advanced glaucoma, there's a gold standard trabeculectomy. That's another video that I have. That's a technique that's been around for a while. That's a gold standard that we do also. This technique is more limited for certain special cases that can be reserved where you can't do a trabeculectomy or you can't do a microinvasive glaucoma procedure and you want to access the suprachoroidal space. It's a technique you can use in certain select patients.
In your expert or your professional experience, how often have you seen people in our community come to you with glaucoma and it already be too late? And if that is the case, that they came and it is irreversible when they do come, why do you think people in our community wait so long that have and deal with glaucoma to go get it checked out?
That's a good question. Glaucoma is called the silent thief of sight because you don't feel it. It's not like when you have a heart attack, you get sharp chest pain. Or it's not like, if you have decreased blood flow or if you have a stroke, you have certain symptoms. You don't feel it. By the time you notice loss of vision from glaucoma, somebody may say, the other day I covered one eye and I just realized I couldn't see out the other eye. You may have lost 80 to 90% of the vision, and it's irreversible.
Man.
So that's why it's important for us to get educated, okay? To get educated, to learn. And I appreciate being able to do this show with you to educate your viewers, because the hip hop generation is getting into their 50s and 60s. Health are big. The initial starters of hip hop. So health is an important issue. And for the young folks, it's important for your parents and your grandparents, your aunts and your uncles, to make sure they get a medical checkup, get their eyes checked, because there are many things we can do to keep people healthy nowadays.
You appreciate me. I appreciate you for coming on and delivering this wealth of knowledge on my platform to my subscribers. And if you're watching or listening right now, please share this video. Let's get this information out. Let's get this content out. Dr. Laroche also has a YouTube platform that we will make sure we get over there and support him as well throughout this video. So now I want to ask you, let's get into marijuana, because I jokingly talked about that in the beginning of this video. The first time I ever heard of glaucoma or my cataracts was the OGs giving reason why they're smoking weed. Oh, I'm trying to fix my cataracts. So on a serious note, does marijuana and the use of marijuana help with glaucoma and cataracts?
Okay. Marijuana was very popular in some of the Jamaican music, okay, where some of the Jamaican songs talk about marijuana helping with their glaucoma. Studies have shown, and there are cannabinoid receptors in the eye, that if you smoke marijuana, it can lower the eye pressure. The problem is you have to smoke it like every 2 hours, which would make you like chronically high and do a lot of damage to your lungs. And the amount of pressure lowering is erratic. And some people you may get a little bit of lowering, and some people you don't. In Jamaica, there's even an eye drop called Marinol that's made out of cannabis and marijuana. It's available in Jamaica, but it's never been scientifically studied. When I spoke to some of the doctors down there, some people say, yes, it works. Some people say, yes, no, it doesn't work. Unfortunately, it's not reliable to lower the intraocular pressure, has a lot of side effects. And the good thing is that we have much better techniques, okay? With the early cataract surgery and microinvasive glaucoma surgery, 80% of the time you don't even need eye drops. The mean normal intraocular pressure in your eye is about 15. That with glaucoma is about 18 or higher. By doing the early cataract surgery and microinvasive glaucoma surgery, you can come back down to a normal of 15 if you catch it early enough. Also, the eye drops, a drop like latanoprost is a drop you put once a day at night in the eye, once in the evening at night. Lowers the pressure by about 30% consistently. No side effects. Doesn't affect your thinking, your breathing. It's not going to give you cancer. So the eye drops in different combinations of different classes work much better than marijuana. The American Glaucoma Society does not recommend marijuana for glaucoma. Now, if you're in a country that has nothing else, you don't have access to surgery, you don't have access to medications, then you may want to lean on marijuana a little bit in that respect. That's probably some of the origin of it in that respect. But nowadays we have much better techniques.
Appreciate that information. I want to transition just a little bit into what we're dealing with now, because you are a professional. You definitely have a professional or have your profession in your field, but you're also an elder, and you're also somebody that's interested in hip hop. We've emailed, and you also alluded to it earlier. You're a KRS-One fan. You're Run DMC fan. Excuse me. You're a Public Enemy fan, and these type of hip hop, the way that these artists articulated their sound and articulated their art form is very different than what we see now. So in your opinion, how do you feel about what we're seeing out here in the current hip hop genre and how it is distributed and promoted in today's society?
Yeah, I'm very disappointed in what I'm seeing. When I was coming up, people would tell their stories, and it was authentic. It was coming from what they experienced. And there were a variety of different types, from serious, political, to just having fun, to just, what your neighborhood was and what you were doing. And some of it was very serious, like Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five with the message, what was going on in the Bronx and the message. So it was a wide spectrum of like hip hop news coming from the community, wherever you were across the country. Now, rappers are just trying to get like a cash advance, okay? And the industry has been taken over by people that are not really from our community. And they're just looking at ways to profit. And what sells? Negativity sells. Just like on the news, they always start out with negative information because that sells, in that respect. People like to look at that. And so they put, talking about the B word, H word, all this negativity in the songs, and they promote that stuff, they sell that stuff, and the younger generation is just interested in getting that cash advance as a sign of success. And I know that perhaps they come from places where they don't have as much resources and they want to get that money to become successful, but it comes at a tremendous cost because you're sort of selling your soul, you're selling out your community, and it has negative effects in terms of how people treat each other, how we deal with each other, and also in terms of your ability to have control over your situation. Right now, young rappers are killing each other. Every month you hear about another rapper dying at the hands of another young rapper. And once again, they'll be wearing a cross, but I want to see them change this cross to the Ankh and live by the Ankh in terms of the message of our ancestors, okay, in that respect, because it's hypocritical. You wear a cross and you're talking all that craziness. I want to see the rappers changing their cross for the Ankh, okay, because this is a symbol. It's a serious business, and it's a lot to live up to. And you want to be free. The most important thing in life is, really being free, having peace of mind, okay? It's not money, because a lot of people could have a lot of money and, you have to look over your back, okay? You may not be able to sleep well. You may not be comfortable, or you may not be fully free. And we're seeing that with Kanye, with Kyrie.
Mm-hmm.
No one forced Kanye to sign a contract with the other man. Mm-hmm. No one forced Kyrie to sign a contract with the other man. When I finished my training, I was given a contract, a very lucrative contract, working for the other man. But when you read the details of that contract, I felt like, this guy's going to own me. I don't have my freedom to do certain things. And I did not sign that contract. I said, I'll start out making less money and do my own thing. And I did that. And I was able to grow a major successful practice and having my own office, okay, in Harlem and in Queens, own my own stuff. I own the buildings that my office is in, Queens Village and in Harlem. And no one could tell me anything. I'm free. I sleep well at night. I do what I want to do. I go where I want to go. And so I may not make as much money as Kanye or Kyrie, but I surely do sleep better at night. Mm-hmm. And I don't have anybody pulling my paycheck from me and telling me what I got to do and take lessons and this and that. So it's not always about the money. And you have to have respect. Can you live with yourself? Can you look with yourself in the mirror? Okay, in that respect. And in a world where you have like 2 billion people living on less than $1 a day, do you really need to be a billionaire? Okay, or even some of the other guys like hundreds of billions and billions of dollars. I mean, is that a good system for the world, for our community to have, a small group of people being all these billionaires, and then half the world, people look like us, don't have access to that money in that respect. So back, I think I digressed a little bit.
No problem.
But I don't like what I'm seeing with the rappers, and we have to have more elders speaking out on this and teaching them this, and calling them out in that respect, and calling people out in that respect. And so, there's some talented people out there that are trying to do good messages, and PE, they came back with a 2020 version of Fight the Power. A young rapper that I like is Eric Asarion. called Pull Up, and he has a comedic rap. That's nice. So there are people out there doing that. They don't get that mainstream push, but to those younger rappers and those people doing that, keep doing that, because that's going to be sustaining for the community. You're going to be able to live in peace and do positive things for the community. And we just need more of that. And then the things that you're trying to do on your platform. Okay, you're not on CNN, but you're on YouTube, and your message is getting out. You got followers, people are following you, and we slowly build up like that. Roland Martin, what he's doing. So, we just have to continue to own our own stuff, work with each other, and continue to build each other up.
Yes, sir. Now, you spoke briefly on Kanye and Kyrie. As a whole, what does it say what they're currently going through? What does it say about our world to where we still see opinions, in particular Black opinions, whether agreed with or not, come with a certain level of raw thrashing from people who own these certain leagues or manufacturing brands or banks or whatever the case may be? Why does it seem as though our voice, they kind of still suppress our voice and don't want it to be out there in the mainstream, even though we're the most influential people on this planet? Why does it still seem as though they're still trying to limit our voice, in your opinion?
A couple of different factors. One, financial control is a part of it. Okay, you don't really see Jewish rappers too much. Okay, but you see a lot of Jewish, Caucasian, not just Jewish, could be non-Jewish as well, Caucasian record executives, and they're the owners. I mean, and that applies not just in the music industry, that applies to the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 78% of the NBA is African American, but the owners don't make up 70% African American, and they're making billions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Medicine is like that in my profession. There's only 400 African American ophthalmologists in the United States and 40 million Blacks in the United States. And a lot of that was dictated by law during the time of slavery and segregation. So we're still at the early stages of trying to break through and go through and this and that. But there's a certain jealousy and cultural conditioning. I mean, whites who grow up in America, they're grown up to think that they're superior to other people. Okay, that's a cultural conditioning. They see themselves on TV all the time, 90% of the time. They see themselves this and the textbooks, all the textbooks that you read in that respects, and they're not taught proper history. They're not taught, like, who was the first person on the planet? Okay, Lucy from Ethiopia, also known as Dinkanesh, or Terne from Chad, these are from millions of years ago, as an African woman. We all come from the womb of an African woman. They're not taught that.
Right.
Who wrote the first book? I was at a library talking about my book and giving a presentation, and there were many scholarly people that published many books. And I said, this is my first book, and this is what it's about. But since we're here, who wrote the first book? In the library, no one could answer that question. That book was written by Ptah-hotep, the teachings and the maxims of Ptah-hotep. This is a book of an African father teaching his son, how to be a man. Has tremendous wisdom in there, and it was written over 2,000 years before the Bible. They don't teach you that in the schools. Who built the pyramids? An African family built the pyramids. Senefru, Khufu, Jedefra, Khafre, Menkaure. They were all pharaohs. You look at the TV, they say aliens built the pyramids. That's what they teach. Okay? So, they don't teach the history that we need to know. Now, when you go back and you learn this stuff, you're going to become on a different plane at a much higher level, because your fund of knowledge is going to be twice as much. And then you'll be able to deal with anything that comes at you.
Appreciate the wisdom. Thank you so much for that. And if you're watching and listening right now, we have Dr. Daniel Laroche on Viral Hip Hop News Live. He is a glaucoma specialist. He is giving game to our people, to our community, and anybody else who happens to be watching and engaging in the content. We appreciate you. We're getting game right now. I had a comment that I wanted to read and get your expertise on. Let me find if I can see it. It was by my man Rahim Allah. He said, "Are there any exercises the doctor would suggest for eyes?"
Not so much exercises for eyes, but physical exercise. 30 minutes a day of physical activity, walking, running, twice a day. If you can increase it to 60 minutes a day, is very important because that improves the blood flow, the heart flow throughout your body. That's going to be good for the eye pressure, help to keep the eye pressure down and keep the blood flow to the eye, your heart, your brain. Exercise is extremely important and help keep your weight down as well to prevent obesity, diabetes, and different things of that nature. So overall, body exercise is very important. Diet is very important. Food, excellent food is your best medicine. Lots of salads, lots of vegetables, a lot of greens, all the greens that you can get. Okay, stay away from the rice, the bread, and the starch. Okay, that's too heavy, and that contributes to a lot of obesity. Drink a lot of green teas. Okay, green teas is very good. A lot of antioxidants, vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E. Very important. Healthy diet and exercise dramatically helps lower the risk of glaucoma and keeps you very healthy. Lower risk of obesity, hypertension, and things of that nature.
Appreciate that. You are a motivation, Dr. Laroche, to be able to sit back and listen to you and get a brief of your story and how you got into the medical field, and just the knowledge that you're providing is definitely appreciated. One of my last questions would be, before we get to your next video, you have a parent out here who's watching this video. You may have a youngster who out here is watching this video, even though my demographic don't really tend to the teens. But let's say you have a parent out here that's looking at their child, see something in them, see a gift in them, and don't want them just to dribble a basketball or get behind a microphone and deal with the things that we're seeing our athletes and our entertainers dealing with currently. What type of advice would you give them if they were interested, or their child was interested in getting into the medical field?
Okay, that's great. First of all, you want to make sure they have the passion to follow and go into medicine, because it's hard work. And you want for your child to be successful, you want to make sure what they're passionate about, because everybody has a particular gift or affinity they go for, and then to pursue that with excellence. So one, make sure they have a passion. If they do have the passion for the medical field, there's an organization called the Student National Medical Association, www.snma.org. Okay, that's an organization of Black medical students. They have a MAPS program for college students and an HPrep program for high school students. So they have an annual meeting every Easter. It's a great place to go. Your kid will see all these young medical students and college students and medical schools that are looking to recruit, and they'll break down the pathway for you to get there. On another topic related to the youth, I did write this book called How to Be a Successful Black Man. It has great guidance for the young men. It's a great book for women too. It talks about Ma'at, the moral code of compass to take place for these kids. You can get it on Amazon. It's a simple to read book, good images, and you can see I have the Black family here. Okay, this is very important. The man, the woman, the children. The Black family is very important. Okay, so we have to rebuild our families, make our families stronger, make our commitment to each other. I've been married to my wife for over 22 years, and she's a tremendous, powerful force in my life. When you go to Africa and you go to Kemet and you see the statues that our ancestors built of Amenhotep and Queen Tai, they're sitting next to each other and their eyes are equal, okay, indicating equality, okay? And Ma'at is represented by a woman. The 42 laws of Ma'at, of this cross, is represented by a woman, because we all come from the womb of a woman, so we have to respect the woman. That's very, very important. One of the things in Ma'at is the feather. I have a feather on this cross over here, a feather. Your heart is supposed to be as light as a feather in everything that you do. This is very important. This is our African spirituality, or African lessons, the 42 laws of Ma'at. So I want to see the brothers and the sisters changing the cross for this cross, the Ankh. Okay, this will help you be very successful with your family, your friends, your career, your work, you have that moral compass to have excellent success.
Appreciate the wisdom, appreciate the information. Dr. Laroche on Viral Hip Hop News live right now. Sir, before we get to the last video I want to show the people, let the people know where they can find you, whether that be on YouTube, where they can, I know you dropped the phone number on the last video, but where they can go if they're looking to get consultation from your offices or your practice. Let the people know where they can find you.
Yes, I have an office in Harlem in Southeast Queens. We have a website, advanceeyecareofnewyork.com. You could just put my name down, Laroche MD, it'll come up. Just as you're about to play this video, a patient of mine, I'm going to give you the background.
Yes, sir.
A patient of mine who's from Haiti, he's a musician, and he came into my office and he wanted to sell me a CD, and I bought it from him to support him. And I listened to it, when I got home, and I really enjoyed his music, his voice, his style of music. And I said, you know what? I have a song that I'd like you to do to educate the community about glaucoma. So I wrote this little song. It's like a simple song. And I said, but I'd like you to, do the music to it as well. So we collaborated. So I'm the songwriter. He's the singer, and his mate is a singer also. His female partner is a singer also. And they were able to put this together. And then one of my other patients, his daughter's in film school. And everybody liked the music. I said, well, let's do a music video with it also. I said, when's the music video going to come out? Someone said. So I said, okay. I asked her to help me out with that. And I contracted with her to put it together. And using an iPhone and images, we were able to make this music video with this song to a compa rhythm. Compa is a very popular beat in Haiti in that respect, because there's a huge amount of glaucoma in the Haitian community. So we did this song, an English version, a Creole version, and it's also Spanish subtitles and French subtitles as well. So you can look up either one of those versions on YouTube. So it's to educate the community about glaucoma, because we are a very vibrational people. We like music. We get messages also. It's, by listening to messages. And it's very important what you listen to. Okay. If you listen to a lot of negativity, you're going to get into negativity. Okay. You're going to get into it. You're going to be around it, people around you. And so we've seen that so many times with Tupac, with Biggie, with a lot of people that we've lost because of some of the negative stuff that was in the music, too much battling that got too out of control. So you want to keep a positive vibration, positive energy, positive information, make, what's your contribution going to be, like the ancestors, what's your contribution going to be in that respect? So that's a background for the video. I hope you enjoy it. Share it with people to educate them about glaucoma. In this video, you see scenes from the office. You see scenes from me in the operating room as well, to demystify it, so that people can say, okay, this is not so bad after all. People are coming out okay, and you can get these types of treatments done.
Awesome. Let's see the video right now. Eye pressure video by Dr. Laroche featuring Siobhan, what's her last, Pollard? Am I reading that correctly?
Siobhan Pollard and Marie Brutus.
Yes, indeed. Let's see it right now. Drop them area codes as we're watching this video. Let me know where you're watching and you're listening. Let's see it.
Do you know how important it is to check doctor for your eyes? That's the only way you will know you have cataract. Do you know how important it is to check doctor for your eyes? That's the only way you will know you have glaucoma. Check doctor for your eyes. That's the only way you will know you have check doctor for your eyes. That's the only way you will know you have glaucoma. If you are over 50, check your eyes for cataract. Go check a doctor. before it's too late. Your normal eye pressure is 50. When he's 18, this could be glaucoma. Check it, doctor. Go check, doctor, for your eyes. That's the only way you will know you have cataract. Go check, doctor, for your eyes. That's the only way you will know you have glaucoma.
Listen carefully. I wake up one morning. I was totally blind. I went to Advanced Eye Care of New York. I had a laser surgery who was performed by Dr. Daniel Laroche. And after 3 to 4 weeks, I got my vision back. The staff was so polite and so care. Thank you, Dr. Laroche. Thank you.
Check it, doctor, for your eyes. Check it, doctor. Good vision. Check it, doctor, for your vision. Good doctor. Check it, doctor, for your eyes. Check it, doctor, for your eyes. Check it, doctor, for your vision. For cataract. Check it, doctor, for your eyes. Check it, doctor, for your eyes. Check it, doctor, for your vision. For glaucoma. Check it, doctor, for your eyes. Check it, doctor, for your eyes. Check it, doctor, for your vision. He's good, doctor. Check it, doctor. Check it, doctor. For your vision. Good doctor. Check it, doctor. For your eyes. Check it, doctor. For your eyes. Check it, doctor. For your vision. Dr. Daniel Laroche. Check it, doctor. For your eyes. Check it, doctor. Good doctor. Check it, doctor. For your vision. Good doctor. Check it, doctor. For your vision.
Dr. Daniel Laroche on Viral Hip Hop News live. Definitely appreciated the wisdom, appreciated your time. I'm sitting here looking at the clock like this was a very easy 54-minute interview, just being able to listen and absorb the wealth of knowledge that you provided for our people. Now, it said in there you used to start getting your eyes checked around, what, 50, you said?
Well, for glaucoma and cataracts, 50.
Okay.
But kids nowadays, we have an epidemic of myopia. And so myopia is nearsightedness.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a big epidemic. Normally, the eye is born at a normal size, but sometimes kids' eyes born a little bit large, and the light doesn't focus exactly on the macula, they need glasses to correct that, or if it's born a little bit small. And from reading inside too much at the computer, reading on your iPhone, not getting outside sunlight, that
Right.
causes that. It's a big problem in China as well. So it's important for the kids to get out an hour a day in sunlight and play outdoors to reduce the risk of myopia. And then when you get to 40, you start to need reading glasses. So around 40, you may have difficulty. The lens doesn't focus as well. You may need reading glasses. 50, get checked for cataracts and glaucoma. Uh, and if you have diabetes, check for retinopathy at any age. And then when you get to 60s and 70s, macular degeneration. So at each age, there's something to be checked for.
Appreciate that information so much, as I'm 39 now, entering my 40th year. I just turned 39 in October, and they're telling me about prostate exams and this and that. And I'm not a doctor, dude. I'm scared to death of everything that I'm hearing right now. But it's very, very, very important that we go get checked out. If you don't feel comfortable with the mainstream doctor, there's people in our profession that look like us. You're seeing it firsthand. Go find a doctor that you're comfortable with. Go get checked out so we can live long, luxurious lives like we deserve to. Dr. Laroche, I appreciate your time. I appreciate all the interaction from the comments section below. Y'all go tap in with the doctor, get more information, or go get some consultation. Sir, I appreciate you. Before we get out of here, if you have any lasting remarks, anything you would like to share with the audience, the floor is yours.
No, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to reach out to your audience. Make sure you get not just your eyes checked, but, like you were saying before, get your medical checkup, find a medical doctor you're comfortable with. There's the National Medical Association. There's a large number of African-American physicians. There's a website called Black Eye Care Perspective. So wherever you are across the country, you can find African-American eye doctor they may feel comfortable with. Because there are many things that we can do nowadays. And you mentioned prostate. Even with prostate, there's a new test called the ExoDx test that's very sensitive, that can help detect prostate cancer, more sensitive than the digital rectal exam and MRIs in that respect. So there's new things coming out all the time that we could take advantage of to get that medical evaluation to make sure everything's okay. And if you have blood pressure, which is quite common, get a blood pressure cuff. You could buy a blood pressure cuff at the CVS or at the local pharmacy. It costs about $50-$60. You could take your own blood pressure. You want to make sure it's about 120/80 or less. Anything over 120/80 is probably very high or too high. And you want to bring that down. Diet, exercise, weight loss, and then sometimes you need some medication to do that as well, because sometimes there's genetics involved. So there's so many things that we can do. I can even give you some other contacts to bring some other medical guests on once in a while as well.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. I appreciate your time. Appreciate your knowledge. Look forward to networking and getting to know you better behind the scenes. Thank you, Dr. Roche. Much appreciated.
Take care now.
You do the same. What an interview. Definitely appreciate each and every one of y'all that had stuck around and listened to that information. Please share this video. Please like the video. We got a lot of important information from the doctor about things that we need to be doing in our community, and that's very important. And for the people that have rocked with me for a very long time, we do hip hop here at Viral Hip Hop News, and we're going to continue to give you hip hop. But I was thinking, as I was getting this video ready and as I'm doing the content that I've been doing the last couple of weeks, that Viral Hip Hop News is content for the culture. You know what I'm saying? It's something that we can come to, engage in some positive content, some real content. Yeah, you may hear a couple curse words, you may get some of the stuff, but within the candy, you will get nourishment. You'll get the food that you're looking for. I pride myself in doing that. I will continue to do that, because as I see you guys engaging with that, as I see you guys sharing that and engaging with it more, it only motivates me to do it more. So I appreciate Dr. Laroche for giving me the opportunity to take my platform and provide his information. It was very important. We got a number of excellent artist spotlights coming down the pipeline this week. Y'all stay tuned. If you have not subscribed to Viral Hip Hop News, please do me a favor and subscribe to Viral Hip Hop News if you want to be highlighted on the artist spotlight. If you're an entrepreneur, if you have a product, if you're a doctor, as you can see, we don't just box ourselves in with just music. We do it all here. Content for the culture, man. So without further ado, I'm about to get up out of here. I'm about to drop some more content for y'all. Appreciate each and every one of y'all that stuck in and engaged in the chat, like I said. And yeah, keep it positive. Much love. I love each and every one of y'all. Please love yourselves. We out of here. Peace.